Alright, we are in the next part, and we're going to continue where we left off. And of course, I was looking at some stuff here. I pulled up some Gemini and whatnot, and I asked it if Sippar was referring to Sippar, and he was referring to that old city. You have to take a look at that. I don't really know who this god is, actually. I knew it to look that up. Really read all too much of that stuff quite yet. I know some of like the older, like Mesopotamian stuff that Zachariah Sitchin has mentioned, and then some from like the Enuma Elish. I know some from like some of the stuff that I've translated already, or the Atrahasis, excuse me. There's like different gods that like there's a lot of them actually. There's like there's one called Nusku. There's one called Gira. I mean, there's just like I mean, they're not really gods, but they just like refer to these. It's either they're referring to people or they're. I was like looking up the AI and it said that one of them was like Nusku was like another word for like a scepter or like a staff. Maybe that's like a name for like one of his tools or something. It was for Enlil. It was like for like opening the gate or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm taking a look at. So yeah, I was just like asking it a bunch of stuff. I had to take a look at some of the translations because we can't use the snipping tool and post stuff on here because I don't. The recording's gonna get all messed up, and I don't have like a special video recorder installed on this PC. So I'm making do with what I have. So I did the little translations, and they seem to be fairly one-to-one. Just looking at like what I translated. Scroll up a couple pages. I translated. No, not that one. I think I translated. Yeah. I think I translated right here. So I translated right here, and it seemed to be pretty much like, honestly, one-to-one. With the from the Greek to the modern English, and then I had the AI translated, and it seems to be pretty much the same. I like screenshotted just the Greek part of the text, and then sent it to, and it translated it pretty good. Even this, I mean, like it's like slightly off, of course, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's pretty good. I mean, I can't even pronounce his name. Shisuthris. When he came out of the vessel, right? So he disappeared in this text, and then here the AI saying like he became invisible, which is, I mean, it's interesting to keep notes of what's going on and how it's translated, because it could give you a completely different understanding. So it's cool to see two side by side. So I wish I could do that like more efficiently. But sometimes when you give like the AI too many tasks, it like kind of craps itself and doesn't know it starts like messing up and making a lot of errors. I noticed when you give it too much stuff, so you have to kind of like give it one prompt at a time. That's kind of what I'm learning with this thing. Okay, so aside from all of that, I just wanted to prove to you guys that these translations are pretty much consistent. Not that there's going to be like a huge jump, but it's kind of like just kind of taking note of like how it's translated and the way the words they're using then and then what they're using now and how different it is. That's what we're paying attention. Remember, we're like an inductor. So we're like taking the rotor and we're like taking all that current, pulling it in. And this right here, this book is the rotor. So anyways, let's continue where we left off. So the vessel being thus stranded in Armenia, some part of it yet remains in Corcyraean mountains of Armenia, and the people scrape off the bitumen with which it had been outwardly coated, and make use of it by way of an alexipharmic and amulet. And when they returned to Babylon and had found the writings at Sippara, they built cities and erected temples, and Babylon was thus inhabited again. Wow, it's crazy to see like how consistent with this with what Zachariah Sitchin had said, because he was saying that that there was like after the flood that they built over these old cities, and that like not only did they build over these old cities got built on top of like again with these like even like newer gods like Babylon, right? It was like with these other gods, but it wasn't with Bel Marduk, because that god specifically came about at a later time period. That's I guess that's what's like recorded with all this stuff, and that he was like the one who kind of like I don't really know, honestly. It kind of just depends on how you look at all this stuff. I mean, Hammurabi, they kind of like revere Bel Marduk. So if you think about like the time period during Hammurabi, they're all revering Bel Marduk, and then they create like the Atrahasis and have all these things and whatnot. Oh, okay, that seems to be the end. Wow. Alright. Cool, so yeah, I like how this ends, honestly. This is really important information. I mean, right there. I mean, this is even like, if you listen to Matthew LaCroix, he's like an engineer, but he's also a independent researcher doing all this stuff, searching the world. He went, I think, with Robert Schoch. He's one of the people who like talks about like some of the, I think, water erosion at Egypt, or that might be John Anthony West. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Robert Schoch, but they went to Peru recently. Him and a bunch of other like I guess esoteric scholars, whatever you want to call them, Freemasons. I don't know what they are, but in any case, they were all in Peru, like looking at Sacsayhuaman, because I guess it was like just some sort of like expedition that they went on just after Graham Hancock had spoken about it in his Netflix series. Yeah, and so Matthew LaCroix, what he talks about is this like group in Armenia that comes right out of Armenia, and then they start rebuilding kind of like civilization, but they're stonemasons. That's kind of what I get from it, but these people came like after the flood, and it's not that these people from Armenia came from the flood, is that there's some sort of like bloodline, right? And so this is like where it comes into play. You have like the story of Noah and all that. I guess it's these people in Armenia who survived, but just to kind of go deeper on that, there could have been people like independently or independent from like this bloodline, right? That survived, and so these people would have like kind of developed independently, and then later on, that's where you get these stories, right? Of like these people like Quetzalcoatl and this like great wisdom keeper who comes down and like teaches people all these like arts and astronomy and stuff like that in like Mexico and like South America, so to speak. I mean, honestly, that just makes complete sense in my head. I don't know how I don't know how these people didn't figure that out, or like how like we got to this point in like academia where we're like rejecting all that. We completely like reject that idea. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but I'm not gonna say it. But it's really interesting to see like how just like rejected it is, because it's like so like it's so obvious now. Everything just points to like an intelligent, advanced technology at a long period, like at a long period ago. That's the only thing that makes sense. And it degenerated. Like we're like a living degeneration of all that ancient technology. It is absolutely baffling. Anyways, that's why I'm trying to dig through all this stuff. Alright, so Berosus from Apollodorus of the Chaldaean kings. Okay, so we just read Sanchoniathon, so I think now this is Berosus, and he's got some really good knowledge on this stuff. So this is also in Greek, and it looks like the kind of like, I wouldn't say modernized Greek, but it's stylized in such a way that it's easy to read. Because, like I said, these ancient Greek languages didn't have any spaces in it, and I don't even think they had like they were using like the capital letters like that, or capitalizations. I think it was just all one like lexicon. It was pretty small. I don't know. I haven't studied it too hard. Not the ancient version, at least. I just know of it. Alright, let's continue with this. This is the history which Berosus has transmitted to us. He tells. So this is from Apollodorus, who wrote about Berosus. Okay, so yeah, this is the perspective we're getting. He tells us that the first king was Aloris of Babylon, a Chaldaean. He reigned and afterwards Alaparus and Amelon, who from Pantibiblon, then Amemnon, the Chaldean. Well, why does he get the title Chaldean? And in whose time appeared the Musaurus Owanes, the Annotatus from the Erythraean Sea. Oh, so then this is okay. So I think this is like a huge jump. So it's just saying that Aloris ruled, and that this is like, it seems like this is like a group, and he reigned for 10 Sari, but maybe it's just like a mistranslation. Who knows? And then afterwards is Alaparis. So these could have been bloodlines. It could have been like, I mean, some people can just say that they're bloodlines and that they just translate it as bloodlines, and it's like I said, it's just personifications of like elements or technology or things in the past, as a way to remember stuff. So these can be like representations of like bloodlines. Who knows? I mean, honestly, but I mean, the Sumerian tablets talk about people who lived for like thousands of years. So, and a Melon, who from Pantibiblon. I wonder where that is. I wonder if you think Gemini would know that. Let's see. Let's see if Gemini knows where. Where is Pantibiblon according to Berosus from Apollodorus? I think that's his name. It's a city from which several of the antediluvian kings hailed. Where's Pantibiblon? The lineage of the 10 kings before the Great Flood. Apollodorus, yeah. It's important to understand that Berosus was a Babylonian priest writing in the Greek 3rd century. Yeah, whatever. We don't really care about that stuff. Where's the... significant in the mythical past of Babylon? Its exact identification with the known art is not definitively established. It is likely a place rooted in Mesopotamia mythology. Okay, so it just doesn't know where. I don't think anybody knows where this would be at. I mean, would this be, this could be possibly, Eridu? I mean, it's gotta be Eridu, right? I'm assuming it's just gonna be Eridu. It could be. And then, so here, right here in this, like, little, colon, you have this next phrase, so... Amenon the Chaldean, in whose time appeared the Musaurus Owanes, the Annotatus. So this is like after the flood. This whole period right here has to be like after the flood. Okay, so let's continue. So, but Alexander Polyhistoric, anticipating the event, has said that he appeared in the first year, but Apollodorus says that it was after 40 Sari. Aberdeenus, however, makes the second Annotatus appear after 26 Sari. Then succeeded Megalaris from the city of Pantibiblon, and he reigned 18 Sari. And after him, Dionys the shepherd from Pantibiblon reigned 10 Sari. In his time, he says, appeared again from the Erythraean Sea a fourth Annotatus, having the same form with those above, the shape of a fish blended with that of a man. Annotating, having the same form with those above, the shape of a fish blended with that of a man. Dude, that is such a trip. But that's that figure of like that half fish, half man thing. It's just it's so peculiar and so goofy looking. It's just, why would they depict that unless it's like something like very serious that nobody's like actually seeing, Oh, and by the way, I think sorry is 36,000 or 3,600 years. So what is one sorry? I think it's 3,600 years. Oh man. No. In Mesopotamian years. One sar is 3,600 years. Yeah, see, Ululim, the first king. So this is like the way they translate it in like Akkadian or whatever, the Sumerian stuff. And then Aloris is like what these ancient people knew, but they didn't have access to these texts that we do now, that we discovered and unearthed. That is a crazy thing. I mean, that's absolutely nuts if nobody's seeing that. Like I said, I just don't know how that's not emphasized. Like, these people knew about these like kings that lived for like so freaking long. And then like you find tablets about these same people like living for this freaking long. Like, what? That trips me out, dude. I mean, honestly, like I don't know what to think of that. They just say it's like bloodlines, dude, but it's like, how, like, I don't know. Just the memory of it is just so like, like they're saying it's a person, and then the tablets are saying it's like a person. It's like, it's not a bloodline. Like the actual like ancient text that would have been discovered, you would think it would have been like a more like human bloodline, right? So these people would have lived like, I don't know, 120 years, but no, like these people have the same sun and the same earth, so they counted the stars the same way we do, because the Chaldaean, we get all another thing too is we get all of our astronomy from these Chaldeans, from Neo-Babylonia. All of our zodiacs and all of our star systems that we get are from like the northern and central hemisphere, and they're all from Chaldea. All of them, everything is from Chaldea. All the stuff. I mean, I think it's even said in this book too. This is a crazy book, dude. It's absolutely tripping me out every single time I read this book, man. It's like more stuff to unpack that's just like hidden. Truly amazing. Anyways, we really do need to keep continuing, so I think I dropped here, right at this end of this parentheses. Then succeeded Megalares from the city of Pantibibulon, which I'm assuming is Eridu, and he reigned 18 Sari. And after him, Dionys the shepherd from Pantibibulon reigned 10 Sari. In this time, he says, appeared again from the Erythraean Sea a fourth Annotating, having the same form, with whose above the shape of a fish blended with that of a man. Yes, oh, sorry. I think we read that already. I got lost, my bad. So, we'll just continue. Then reigned Eudoracus from Pantibibulon for a term of 18 Sari. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Let me go back up here real quick. Okay. So I guess Owanes is like a contemporary with these really old gods. This is like a I mean, this is a very explicit statement right here, right? I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, right? So this is not referring to after the flood at all. I was wrong. He was a contemporary of these people. Wow. So this person who came out of the sea and taught these people after the flood was the same person who was hanging out with all these kings from like before the flood. I mean, it makes sense, but I'm just like, that's, I mean, right here is an explicit statement for me. That's pretty crazy. Right? So, yeah. And appeared again from the Erythraean Sea, a fourth anecdotus. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to like put these pieces together. This is Apodemus, however, makes the second anecdotus appear after 26. Sorry. I'm really like trying to figure out what this anecdotus is. What is anecdotus according to these people? Anecdotus, I think I don't know. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So that's exactly what I was saying. I was just thinking, it is one of these things. I was gonna say it's an apkalu. Anecdotus is one of the antediluvian sages. Yeah, because so they say ups. Wow, okay. Anecdotus, where did they get that word from? It's crazy how the word is so different. I mean, I know it's like Greco-Roman because the US at the end, so anecdotus is obviously like a Greco-Roman rendition, but you like, why did they change the names? Oh, there's just so much stuff running through my head. I'm not really looking at this stuff right now. I'm just, man, dude. What the heck does it mean when it's like they're calling the sage? Apodemus, however, makes the second anecdotus appear after 26 Sari, then succeeding Megalares from the city of Pantibibulon. So after some of these kings, he reigned 18 Sari. So, and after him, Dionys, the shepherd from Pantibibulon, reigned 10 Sari in his time. In 10 Sari. Okay, so in his time, he says, in his time appeared again from the Erythraean Sea as a fourth anecdotus. What the fuck, dude? Okay, so these people are being like resurrected? Apodemus, however, makes the second anecdotus appear after 26 Sari. Like, what does that even mean? It's a possible variant spelling or descriptive term, or an error in transmission by later Greek referring to these wisdom figures, but like, I don't know. I don't think there's an error in translation with saying that somebody's like being, but it's not very explicit. Is this one of those things where I gotta keep reading? I think I need to quit like dwelling on these things and just keep reading, I guess. And just, I guess, look at it later, but what the heck? Like but like it's almost as if it's like saying like they're resurrecting something from the sea. And his time appeared again from the Erythraean Sea, a fourth anecdote having the same. So it's like, but I don't understand. Like, okay, so Apollodorus says that it was after 40. Okay, the one is from the Erythraean Sea appeared. Oh, I think it's saying. I don't know. I mean, it could be like maybe a fourth and like a one is appearing for the fourth time. It's so cryptic about it. Maybe it's not like that on purpose. Because it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I don't know. I guess if we're looking at this from like like a non mundane kind of like we're taking this like as a literal text and not as some sort of like not as some sort of like mythological retelling, like I said before, like to like kind of like keep the knowledge, but this is like the way they're keeping knowledge is something that we're overlooking more so. Like these are explicit details, but we're thinking this is all like just some sort of like cryptic way of or like either cryptic or like a or deliberate mistranslation of some sort. That's like what we get from this, but instead like what I'm trying to do is trying to look at this and be like, okay, this is what these people and these details are saying, and there's no mistaking, because for them to make a mistake would mean that they're representing fakeness and like lies, and I don't think that's what these people intend, because these people seem pretty darn smart, if you ask me. So well, I don't think they kept stupid details. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue right here. In his days there appeared another personage from the Erythraean Sea like the former, having the same complicated form between a fish and a man, whose name was Oedicon. All of these, says Apollodorus, related particularly and circumstantially whatever Oannes had informed them of. Concerning these Abininus has made no mention. Then reigned a Mampsinus, a Chaldaean from Laranche. Why are they saying Chaldeans, but like these aren't, these are people before the flood. And then he, being the eighth in order, reigned 10 Sari. Then reigned Otiartes, a Chaldean from Laranche, and he reigned 8 Sari. And upon the death of Otiartes, his son Shasuthras reigned 18 Sari. In his time happened the great deluge. Okay, so there we go. So that sum of all kings is 10. That's such a weird detail. You see what I mean? Like, you have these kings, and then you have these, like, sages that are not... The kings aren't the sages, right? The kings are, like, different from the sages. Like, what kind of... This is such a weird details. You know? It's just like, how is that a mistranslation of something? Because it's such a weird detail. And like I said, these ancient texts are talking about, like, figureheads, not, like, bloodlines of, like, people with their last name all being the same, like kind of like what we do, you know. So I'm just saying. So that the sum of all kings is 10, and the term which they collectively reigned at 120 Sari. or 432,000 years. So I'm gonna leave off here. More from Berosus from Abydos. Okay. Oh, okay. So in parentheses is an adding, or like an ad lib from Cory. Okay, so got it. So if we scroll back up real quick, excuse me. This is an ad lib from Cory. So I see. I'm like, who's Abydos? Okay, so let me go back here because I was getting confused. I thought he was talking about Abydos being like one of the kings. So he's saying, yeah, he's saying that this it says it was after 26. Oh, okay. So yeah, dude, I don't know what the importance of these like people coming out though. You know what I mean? Like the Apollo. It's kind of interesting. If anybody knows what like that might mean, I mean, it could obviously mean something obvious, but I don't know. You have like you have like the you have like god kings, and then you have sages. But then like who like so, and then there's the olden gods that are like above these kings. That's crazy. We'll start here in the next video, so still have I guess so much more to unpack.